Hello, everyone. My guest today is Jeff Gordy. He's the CEO and co-founder of Z2 Systems, otherwise known as Neon CRM. He's got a background in sales, marketing, customer service, and management. He's a UIC graduate with a BS in business management. And after making a few mistakes growing up and turning his life around, decided to focus on helping nonprofits. That's where the company is focused on. Jeff, are you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, I am.
All right. CRMs are tough. Nonprofit CRMs are even tougher. What on earth compelled you to get into this business?
No other choice in the very beginning and a passion for nonprofits.
All right, fair enough. So is that the business? It's a pure play SaaS company. It's a CRM for nonprofits?
Yes, completely. Basically, I was a troublemaker growing up. I got kicked out of high school. I got kicked out of the home. I didn't even get my GED and go back to college for the third time until I was about 28.
Did you ever serve jail time?
I might have spent a few nights for some behaviors that I did back in the day.
All right, so you were a bad boy.
Yeah, I was. I was a troublemaker, but at the same time, I had to make a living. So I was on my own around 15, 16, and worked in restaurants and managed restaurants, sold some of the first cell phones, sold copiers, walked the streets selling fax machines, even sold voicemail when voicemail was something you would cold call on and sell as a service. And then I ended up running the world's largest Haagen-Dazs of all things down here at Navy Pier. I had a staff of 100 kids.
Which state are you in?
Chicago.
Chicago, okay.
Yeah. So I had 100 kids selling popcorn, lemonade, and ice cream in a popcorn shipping business that I was managing. And I was getting paid about $40K a year, 60 hours a week, 6 days a week. And I had an epileptic seizure one day.
An actual one or a fake?
An actual one.
Okay.
Never had epilepsy before, but out of the blue, it just hit me. And I woke up and was looking around, and all my employees were looking at me down on the ground. And I said, I haven't completed college. I don't have a degree. I need to do something to change my life and to really make things happen. So at that point, I decided I'm going to go back to school. And I'd always read a lot, and I wasn't
How old were you, Jeff, at this point?
About 28.
Okay.
And I said, well, if I'm going to go back to college, what better place to do it? And I went down to Miami Beach for a year.
Oh, gosh.
So I was at Miami-Dade College and just would spend some afternoons on the beach waiting tables at the evening and school in the morning. And after a year of that, I was able to get some student loans and come back up here to Chicago to UIC and really finish school. And that's where I got my business management degree in a BS.
Okay, so here's a big question. Looking back, was it worth it?
Oh, completely.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Everything taught me about karma, and that's why I am where I am today. If you do bad things come back. If you do good things come back.
So Neon CRM, to kind of dive more into the business, what's the average customer or nonprofit paying you per month to access this, and what do they get?
Yeah, sure. So the average customer is paying us about a little under $200. We do have some customers that are paying us as little as $50 a month, and some that are paying us over $1,000 a month, really based on the size of the nonprofit and what they need. But all of this started when I was going back to school and working at the Kidney Cancer Association, and my partner came in with a beta test platform and said, hey, will you guys test this out at the Kidney Cancer Association? Because I was working there just part-time and entering gifts and was absolutely amazed that you could help people and make money. But I had a background in using sales software and marketing software, and I was falling in love with nonprofits. So, and my partner was a developer. So what we did is we just kept adding more and more and more features. We started off with no capital, absolutely nothing. I think we paid ourselves $5K the first year, $15 the second.
You're talking about Neon. This was the first year of Neon, right?
Correct.
What year was that?
2005.
Okay, 2005. Good. So now are you still bootstrapped today, or have you raised capital?
Still bootstrapped today.
I love that. Very good. So bootstrapped. And what have you scaled to in terms of total nonprofits paying you?
Last year we closed up around 6 million.
Okay.
This year we should close up around 8 million.
So what does that mean in terms of customers, though?
About 3,000 nonprofits.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, that's very healthy. And by the way, this is impressive because people that have tried to sell to nonprofits before who are listening, you appreciate how difficult it is to sell to a nonprofit. I mean, this is not an easy thing. So, I mean, What are you finding your sales cycles like? How are you closing these deals?
Well, in the very beginning, I thought that this company would never last because I was trying to sell, working out of my apartment. I actually made the first sale in my car, and I was cold calling all these businesses and sending all these emails, and nothing was happening. I was doing 2, 3 demonstrations a day on the calls for 4, 5, 6 hours. And one of the problems was just it's a different sales cycle, and it's just a different way of selling something. So nonprofits, generally in the for-profit world, when you're selling something, they go directly, usually the person that has the credit card is reaching out to you. They can go ahead and make that decision, not too much of a process of coming up with that decision. If they like it, they buy it. In the nonprofit world, generally you've got one person that's going out and doing some investigation. Then you've got the executive director that they have to share that with and ideally pull them in. Then even if that executive director loves it, then they have to sell it to the board. Then they might be under a 1, 2, 3, 4-year contract due to some of our competitors like Blackbaud that have really held people in for long-term contracts and really kind of got their nails in them. Then the board has to get that even through their budget and just ensure that they've got money and it's approved for the following year. Well, generally, it's a lot longer. And in the beginning, I just kept knocking on doors and nothing was happening. But then they all ended up coming in later. It was just a much longer sales cycle.
So like after their longer term contracts ended, they'd all come to you because you were more flexible and maybe cheaper.
Yeah, definitely. We basically came into the market being able to offer more than our competitors were able to offer, but at a lower price because we were bootstrapped and didn't have any capital, didn't have any debt to pay.
So 3,000 customers today, and again, at about $200 a pop per month. That's about 600 grand a month or 7.2 million in ARR. Give me a sense of growth. Where were you a year ago in terms of monthly recurring revenue?
Boy, about a year ago, I would say we were probably, honestly, I don't know off the top of my head, but probably about 1 to 1.5 down from where we're at now.
Okay, got it. So maybe call it somewhere in like 500-ish, 450, something like that.
Yeah.
That's healthy. I mean, look, it's healthy growth.
I can tell you're good with your numbers.
Yeah, no. Well, I always appreciate the emotional side of stories when you can tie them to the data as well, because there's a lot of emotional stories where the emotions get funneled into real strong success. There's others where the emotions don't get funneled and everything just crashes and burns. So this is a great story. This is one where you funnel these emotions and it's turned out really nicely for you. So walk me through today. So team size and where are you guys all based?
Yeah, sure. So right now we are about to breach the 100 staff member mark. We've got about 56 people here in our Chicago office. And we've got about 45 in our Chengdu office.
Where's that? Which country?
That's in the Sichuan province in China.
China, interesting. And how did that happen?
So when I met my business partner, and he came into Kidney Cancer Association, he was originally from China. He'd worked for Ford, Motorola, IBM, and had made some good money and did really well. Ended up selling his house and car and decided to start this company. Well, he didn't make much money at all in the first few years. I'm not sure he was happy he did it in the early years. And actually, the partner that he started it with got a job offer to join the Merck at $250K a year managing their computers. And that's how I got on board. So it was just it was a long path to really kind of getting it up and getting it started.
So he built the team in China. That's how that happened.
Yeah. So we actually started our team in the U.S. So a year about 3 into it, we finally got our salaries.
This was 2008.
Yeah, about 2008. We finally got our salaries up to about 45K or so and decided to hire our first employees. Well, we hired one person in support and we hired 2 developers. And we hired guys right out of school. They just couldn't really help us, couldn't get us where we needed to be, and we couldn't afford good developers. I think we were paying them about $45,000, $50,000. So what we ended up doing is taking those 2 salaries and opening an office in Chengdu, China. And we were able to legally open an office and hire 6 developers with over 10 years of experience with those 2 salaries.
So super high quality, but more output.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Hey, look, if it scales, it scales. Last few economics questions here before we move into the closer and with the famous 5. Churn is obviously critical in this kind of space. Tell me about your churn.
So I recently learned that you can have negative churn, which I wasn't aware of. So right now we're actually right above like a little bit of churn, around 1 point something percent.
And what is that? That's revenue churn per year, and that's net?
Correct.
Okay, 1% net revenue churn annually. If you just look at gross revenue churn, what is that?
I
Do you know?
believe, yeah, that's around 6%.
Okay, so you're driving about 5 points or 5% of expansion revenue each year to get to that 1% net revenue number. Where's the expansion revenue coming from? Is it more seats per nonprofit, or what's the upsell opportunity?
Yeah, so we base our pricing on the number of records in each database. And we kind of view our own success through our customer success. And if they're successful, we're successful. So the way that they are successful is by raising more money and putting more donors in their databases. And when that happens, we also succeed with them because their monthly fee goes up.
Got it.
So generally, every month, we'll have a bunch of customers that are increasing their database size, increasing in donors, increasing the amount of money they're raising. And then we go ahead and just increase their pricing tiers as we grow with them.
And as you're adding on kind of new customers, so that's expansion revenue, but as you're adding new customers, I mean, what are you spending to acquire these new customers typically?
Yeah, so right now our customer acquisition cost is around about $1,100.
Okay. So walk me through where you're spending some of that money.
Yeah, sure. It's changing as we speak. So in the beginning, and actually all the way up until last year, I did all of the sales and marketing. Well, not all the sales, but all of the marketing myself. I had one kid helping me out of school, Andrew, that was good at content, but I was really managing all of the marketing. I just hired a CMO this year that I actually offered a salary that was higher than myself to bring him on board, as an entrepreneur would do, who knows his money. And Mark now is really adjusting our strategy. We're bringing in an external marketing agency. We're starting to really pay attention to all the channels and all the numbers and what has the best acquisition costs and everything. But historically, we've used Gartner products a lot in advertising and promoting the product.
Okay.
But have not made good use of Google, unfortunately. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about kind of getting into, and also all the new social media advertising and all the different ways that we can now reach nonprofits. So,
yeah, there's also something to be said for being hyper-focused on one channel and just owning that channel. It sounds like you're doing great with Gartner, and at $1,100 of CAC and $200 a month in ARPU, I mean, your payback is 6 months, which is perfectly healthy.
Right. And actually, the fun part to add on to that is the lifetime value is over 13 years for some of our higher, for our larger customers.
And what is that? What's that in a dollar figure, would you say?
Ooh. Honestly, I couldn't pull that out of my head at the moment.
But do you actually just take 13 years times $200 a month, and that's the number you use?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, if you're doing $200 a month, that's $2,400 a year times the 13 years. I mean, that's what, like 30 grand, north of 30 grand in LTV per customer.
Yeah, and it does change per tier. So there is a higher churn rate with the smaller nonprofits on the smaller end. But then the larger they are, the lower the churn rate is, which is fun.
No, Jeff, this is a great story. Let's wrap up here with the famous five. First question here: what's your favorite business book?
Boy, it's actually a quote from an old movie, but if you build it, they will come.
Is that a book as well?
It's an old movie called The Field of Dreams.
Okay, got it. But what's like your favorite business book? A recent book you read?
Boy, Everybody Lies.
Everybody Lies. That's good. Now is that a lie? No, I'm just kidding. Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Boy, Warren Buffett is just the person I always pay attention to and have since I was a little kid. I just admire him to all end.
Number three, what's your favorite online tool for growing your business besides your own?
HubSpot.
Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Actually, that's increased lately, which is fun. It went from 6 to now about 7.5.
That's pretty good. And what's your situation? Married, single, do you have kids?
Married.
Any kiddos or no?
No
kiddos.
Not yet thinking about it.
Good. And how old are you?
46 as of last week.
Bill, congratulations. Last question, Jeff. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
What did my 20-year-old self do?
What do you wish that he knew?
Oh, boy. I wish he knew all about karma. in just the fact that if you did good things would come back to you. At that point, I was just so selfish and so self-driven and didn't realize the impact of just all of your actions on other people and how that returns to you.
Well, guys, I don't know if he really was a bad boy when he was young, but if he was, he's certainly making up for it now. Nonprofit for CRMs, building up neoncrm.com. Launched in 2005, totally bootstrapped, now serving over 3,000 nonprofits, paying on average $200 a month, so doing north of $7 million in ARR today. They've got 1% net revenue churn annually. Gross is about 6%, so healthy economics there. CAC is $1,100, mainly through Gartner as a channel, which is interesting. Payback period there obviously under 6 months, as their team of 100 people based between Chicago and China work to give more power back to these nonprofits via their CRM product. Jeff, thank you so much for taking us to the top.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Nathan.